This has to be one of the most satisfying clack-sounding keyboards I've ever used. Retailing for $100, the XVX K75 Pro is a 75% wireless keyboard with a miniature display embedded right into it. But before we take this thing apart and tell you if it's worth your money, let me tell you what's included in the box. Disclaimer, the keyboard was sent to me by XVX, but they have no creative control over my content. Everything you're about to hear are my own original thoughts and opinions. Inside the box, we'll find the manual, a combo keycap switch puller tool, a braided USB Type-A to USB Type-C cable, a wireless dongle, and the K75 Pro Keyboard. This keyboard was sent to me in the grayish variant. I really like the color combinations used in this version, but in case this style isn't your thing, there's also the powder blue, mauve, and Ukiyo-E variants. And I hope I'm saying that right for all the weebs out there. Moving on, upon first inspection, one of the things I'm a little dissatisfied with is that there's no storage included for the 2.4 gigahertz dongle. It would have been really nice to be able to store this inside the keyboard, like some others we've seen on this channel. This is probably because the entire case is made out of CNC'd aluminum, so there's no easy way to add a spot to store it, but I feel like there's a creative solution out there somewhere. So even though there's no way to store the USB dongle, XVX does get points for the aluminum design. Also, being aluminum means we don't get any adjustable feet to change the typing profile. Instead, we get these standard rubber grommets that are sticky taped to the case. But being all aluminum, this thing feels very sturdy. Something weird is their marketing says it weighs 1,700 grams, but I kept getting 1,353 grams on my scale. We also get Bluetooth functionality. We have one 4,000 milliamp battery powering this entire keyboard, which by my estimates, assuming the keyboard draws around 150 milliamps, should yield you something around the ballpark of 15 to 30 hours of continuous use, depending on the LED backlight settings. Interestingly enough, the battery life isn't mentioned once on the sales page, which should be updated immediately. It's worth noting, though, that they do advertise expandable battery storage. I'd never seen this on a keyboard before, and I thought it was pretty weird, so I decided to mention it. And, by the way, I don't know who's out there gaming with Bluetooth, but please stop. You're losing the game for your team, and your parents are very disappointed in you. The wireless functionality is turned on via the dip switch on the back side of the keyboard. Also located next to it is the switch to select a Mac or PC profile. I've seen this on a few different keyboards now, and I think this is something that should just die. There's no reason why this couldn't be handled in software or by using FN macros. The hook of this keyboard is obviously the miniature display, and I gotta say, it's pretty neat, although gimmicky. You can make a lot of modifications specifically from this screen by navigating through it using the FN plus page up or down keys. You can even switch the keyboard to a Mac profile through the screen, which begs the question of why there's a physical button. But you can also manage the RGB settings and wireless devices you're connected to. What's unique is you can have 3 devices stored via the onboard memory. You can also keep track of your battery life or even let a cool image sequence play. And yes, I mean image sequence and not a GIF. We'll get into that in a minute when we talk about the software and how it's set up. By default, it has this anime chick on it for all the weebs out there. So you can sit there with your Ukiyo-E keyboard and anime chicks and pretend like it isn't human propellant. The keycaps on this thing are great. They look like double shot, but they're not. They're cherry profile dye sublimated PBT keycaps, meaning there's no shine through with the RGB LED. They have a bit of a grippy texture to them, which I really like. Typing with these keycaps is a real pleasure. They have small indentations on the surface, which I'm usually not a fan of, but they seem to work really well in this instance. Removing the keycaps, we'll see that the LEDs are in fact south-facing. For those that don't know, enthusiasts often prefer the south-facing LEDs for better keycap compatibility, so good on you, XVX. The switches were pretty interesting to me. These are the XVX medium purple switches. They are 5-pin linear mechanical switches with a total travel distance of 3.4 millimeters. They come pre-lubed from the factory and have an actuation force of 48. I noticed that these switches had a bit of wobble to them, but it was nothing deal-breaking. This is a hot swap PCB that's compatible with both 3 and 5-pin mechanical switches. So if these switches aren't for you, they can easily be changed out. Unfortunately, the stabs are plate mounted. For the $100 price tag, I would have liked to seen screw-in stabs, but maybe that's something that could change in future revisions. They come pre-lubed, but additional lube would have been nice to see as well. Fully disassembling the keyboard, we can see that the PCB is mounted via a leaf spring gasket system, which explains why the board has a bit of flex. In my humble opinion, the gasket mounted boards almost always sound better than the tray mounted boards, so it's great to see this. Diving even deeper, we can see that there are several layers of sound absorbing padding used in the board. Usually when you have padding like this, it removes the low end of the key sound, so even though this board is marketed with I actually found it had more of a deep clack sound, which I find also very satisfying. But you guys tell me, how's the sound? Gaming with this keyboard was as fun as using any other mechanical keyboard. You do miss out on some modern gaming quality of life features like magnetic switches or rapid trigger, but you really don't need these to be a good gamer or to have fun. It performed just fine in long gaming sessions with friends without any issues. There is software available for this board for further customization. In my opinion though, it felt very bare bones. It needs to be developed more. The whole download process felt so sketchy. You need to download it via a Google Drive link. XVX, please just let us download this through the website. The software will let you rebind keys, create different layers, use the RGB tabs, and yes, I mean tabs. There are 4 different RGB tabs in the software. This desperately needs to be consolidated. However, on the cooler side, you can also upload images for the embedded display. You can have a static image, use an image sequence, or just keep the anime chick because you're a weeb and you like that. It has a maximum amount of frames that can be uploaded to the screen, which is like 161 or something like that. You'll have to upload static JPEGs that make up a GIF to the board via the software. Unfortunately, you can't just drag and drop a GIF. Now, for someone like me, who's a professional editor, graphic designer, and animator, this is no big deal. But for Byakugan Sasuke Kawai-chan, the 15-year-old white kid in Ohio, trying to do this in between episodes of Attack on Titan might be a little difficult. Overall, the software needs to be reworked. The RGB panels need to be consolidated, and you should be able to drag and drop any GIF you'd like to display. And also, just hear me out on this one. Consider a real download link. I found the warranty as underwhelming as the software. Your return window for the product is only 7 days after delivery and doesn't cover the shipping and charges a 4% restocking fee. If you're going to charge a restocking fee and the consumer has to pay to ship the board, I feel like this should be expanded to 30 days. But something to consider is that this board is for sale on Amazon. So someone correct me if I'm wrong, but this portion of the warranty would default to Amazon's return policy. The warranty of the board is for only 1 year. And again, you guys have heard me say this before in other videos, but I think every brand should follow the standard of 2 years. Overall, the typing experience and sound of this keyboard are superb, but the sketchy download, software, and weak warranty make me hesitant to give this a full-throated endorsement. The price seems fair for what you're getting out of the keyboard and its features. I found the screen a bit gimmicky since I don't use it for anything, but man, how cool is this? I mean, look at that. Isn't that just, it's beautiful. I can just have an animation that I made running on it 24/7. If you're looking for a deep clack sounding keyboard, maybe this could be it. But make sure you're prepared to deal with the software and to purchase it through Amazon for an easier return if you need to. Thank you for watching. As always, I hope you guys learned something, and until next time, GG.